And we are live. We are live. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. This is the Separated at Birth podcast. I am your host, Roman Wins, joined as always by my partner in crime, the full fucking measure. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I brought an old friend with tonight. Shiny McFarrenstein is here, joining us in the studio. You guys are gonna need to just dial your brightness down a little bit on your monitors, otherwise you'll get fucking, your eyes will melt out of your skulls like the scene from Indiana Jones. But it's fantastic to be here, man. It's great to share another one of these with you. It's become such a thing that I look forward to, and I just make like little notes and shit, and I'm like, then I remind myself, like when I speak to you over the weekend, I'm like, don't talk about this shit yet. Wait for the pod, dog. Get it across. But I'm good, man. Had a hell of a weekend. We are starting to ramp up on these crazy fucking games now, dude. That is February.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty on Dying Light, but I fixed all that. I've been diving into the game. I've been playing it. But yeah, your dome made me a little jealous. When we were doing the countdown before we went live, I was going to put on my N7 helmet so I can match your Shine game. But didn't want to fit over the Arctis Pro wirelesses, so I had to make a pivot. But that's just what happens.
I gotta buy you the N7, the in helmet headset, dude. Then you're good to go. Then you could do a whole show wearing that, man.
I'm gonna do a whole show. I'll be Commander Shepard. This is my favorite podcast on the Citadel. But as always, a little bit of business. This is a live podcast where we talk about the topics of the week. And you could be a part of this show too. There is a stream elements button in the description of this video where you can punch in your comments and concerns and be a part of the show. But if you can't support the show that way, you support the show by watching the video, hitting that like button, and sharing it with someone else. But with that out of the way, my man, Dying Light 2. And these games of February, we're nibbling into the month.
Yes.
We've been talking offline. We've been joking, cutting it up. We really got to bring it to the people. There's a lot of thoughts and comments that we need to get to on this slate.
Absolutely. I mean, it was weird getting kind of caught off guard by Sifu yesterday. I did not, I swear to God, I had no idea. Someone literally messaged me and went like, do you know that there's an early access version of Sifu? You don't have to wait until Tuesday. And I was like, please tell me more. And so, of course, I went to Epic Store, and that was in actual fact the case. And I mean, it's still the game is dirt fucking cheap. So that was amazing, getting like a little bit of a jump start on that. But to get back to the whole Dying Light point or mention, but also games in February as a whole, I mean, it's starting now, right? From here on, it's fucking downhill all the way, baby. Tomorrow is Lost Ark, early access if you got it. And then next week, we're gonna be seeing fucking what's his name, Horizon Forbidden West is rolling in. Then the week after that, it's Destiny: The Witch Queen, and then basically later in that week, it's Elden Ring. So I mean,
I gotta cut you off.
I gotta cut you off. I hit the wrong button, but I still have to cut you off.
Are you sure? Because I could have sworn the devil just showed up, dog. I'm like, yes, master.
Listen, how often do you and I talk? I consider us
a lot.
Amazing friends. All right. So guys, I gotta point something out. I had to find out that Sifu was on early access through watching and subscribing to the Full Measures channel, where he puts out a video that Sifu, a game that is high on my list, was available.
I can very easily explain why that is, if you allow me.
I don't want to hear it.
I can very easily explain, because I wanted to give myself a head start to get some modicum of advancement in that game before you roll in and completely blow me out of the water. That is why I fucking did it. I need all the head start I can get, baby. Even an hour there did me no fucking good, because you're already smashing the shit out of the game. And I believe you're streaming later tonight, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm sure you're gonna blow people's fucking minds. But the game is tough, dog. It's tough. It's tough.
It's fantastic.
For us mere mortals, this shit is tough as fuck. But I like the game. I like games that force me to reevaluate my life. and you know, and where I stand in the pecking order, and if I am a real man, you know, like I like games that make me question, you know, make me go into an existential crisis, and definitely Sifu humbles you in a way. The first time I went to that boss, I was like, how the fuck are you supposed to do this without dying? Like, what the fuck is up? And yeah, it's obviously possible. But yeah, I was just not.
How old were you when you went? How old were you when you beat the first boss? The first boss, how old were you?
Bro, I might as well have been in a fucking wheelchair, dog. I was like, I was 64, dude. I had hair coming out my ass. I was old as fuck, man. Like, I was old, bro. Like, the game was like, the game was treating me as if I had Alzheimer's. It was asking me shit like twice, and you know, like, no, it was fucking bad, dude. It was bad. It was bad.
I wake up Sunday. I'm massively hungover because it was my oldest's birthday on Saturday night. So we had a power party, and then I wake up to a delightful video on my subscription page from the Full Measure. So then I bought the game on the Epic Game Store, and I jumped into Sifu, and I play the first level, and I am wrecked. I'm just getting destroyed. I'm like, oh no. I take a powder, I go to sleep, I wake up fully energized and sober, and I have just been in love ever since. It is a phenomenal game. It is not a game that is for everyone. There is a high learning curve in that game, but boy, stick to the channel, baby. Follow Roman Wins. We're gonna put on a show with this game later. I've been having a lot of fun.
I want to attach something to what you said just now, and I think that's probably I don't do reviews on my channel or anything like that, but I will say it's mostly due to the fact that I get games the same time as, you know, people off the street do, and so I often feel like I can't necessarily add a lot more to the contemporaries, the great reviewers out there. You know, some of the ones which we're fans of have already said, and I always feel like there's a part of me that like, after having watched 10 to 15 reviews, you can't help but have that influence you somehow and in the things that you say. But when it comes to games like Sifu, for instance, I feel like it's a unique position where I can sit and look at a game like that and I can go, this is not a game that I'm going to spend like 30, 40, 50 hours playing, right? Because it's kicking my ass, and I know I'm gonna give up, and I'm being fucking honest, and I'm sure there's people out there. The thing is, most people have a problem with admitting this, but the thing that I can admit about Sifu is it is the best version of a game that I'm not a fan of. That's the best fucking compliment I can give it, because it's just I respect the hustle. Great fucking game. They took a lot of these guys, first of all, it's not a blockbuster game, right? So they're not making massive return, right, on what they're selling the game for, right? And I don't think it's a big studio. I maybe need to put a bit more research into it. But the point that I'm trying to make is they took a massive gamble here. They made a toughest fucking balls game and said, guys, this is not for everyone. But the ones that are a fan of this genre, that like something like this, you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to love it. And that's it. Dude, the game is filled with these cool homages to like fucking martial arts movies and shit like that. Amazing. It's so good, dude. So good.
It's amazing. It's like somebody took the Matrix head jack and said, we need to make a roguelike, but we need to make it for Roman Wins. So how are we going to do that? And
Jesus, it's hitting you on those levels?
It's hitting me on that much, man. Wow. I mean, you're talking about a guy who grew up watching Into the 36 Chambers of the Shaolin, like Super Cop, like all of that, Xiaopo Lang, Donnie Yen, like all of it, the Yuan Wo-Ping Fight Studio, like that is my life. Okay, when I first got in the UFC in the 90s, it was because of VHS trading, and I had a cousin. His name is Joseph, but we called him Joe Dragon because he was like a martial artist, and he's the guy who like bring over VHSs of kung fu movies and Bruce Lee and all that other shit. And I would just eat it up. I loved it. And this is hitting me on all of that.
I did not know that this was like fucking digital crack for you. I didn't know.
I didn't know it was going to be digital crack for me until I got it. The music is tight. The art direction's tight. Like there's a hallway scene. I feel like I'm in the opening act of Daredevil where I'm fighting like.
Dude, but the hallway is like from Old Boy, bro.
Well, yes.
I mean, when I saw that the first time, I was like, holy shit. And there's a couple of those. There's the lobby scene as well from I think it's. Fuck, there's a lot. Like, I was making notes. They did it so well, though. I really, 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 I respect what they did with the game. And again, like I said, I know that it's a game that I'm gonna like. My biggest issue is if I don't have anything else to play, then I'll grind something. but there's other options right now, and I just like I put in like 2 hours into the game last night, and I don't like to go to sleep angry, bro. And so I stopped before that was a thing. But then I've also today spent some time watching guys who are now all, you know, better at the game already, and it's fucking impressive what you can do. And I mean, surely there's a sense of accomplishment that comes with that. So I mean, it's it's just something I've never been into, but I think it does what it's supposed to do very well. It's the best compliment I can give it.
It's hard for me because when I find a game that I absolutely adore and I know I'm pretty good at, the same thing happened with Sekiro. It's I won't watch anything on it. I don't want a tip or trick. I don't want a hack or an exploit. I want to find it myself. I want to show that I can do it, because the highest compliment I can give to a game is my time. And
sure.
And it's hitting me just right, and I'm diving in. I'm getting some I'm learning the tendencies, when to dodge high, when to dodge low, when to block, when to parry, when to counter, because I want to do a flawless run H20 through the whole game.
Oh god, dude.
So I need to be good enough that I can beat anyone without additional skills. And
if I don't have access to a bat, I'm fucked in that game, dude. That's the only way I survive, though. I need weapons, dude. I need bats and bottles and shit. This is the only way.
I feel like we're getting a sneak peek into what life was like in Namibia. It's like, I need a bat with a nail on the end.
If I'm leaving home, I'm needing a bat with a nail in, or at least some bottles, possibly gloves dipped in glass and fucking glue, so I can leave the house and go do my thing. Yeah, no, 100%.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of bats with nails in it, I mean, there is another little gem that came out this past week. It is a game that has hurt my soul immensely, but has been a fun time due to technical issues. You know, there's nothing worse than setting up a beautiful stream, taking time, having a delightful audience to come out, and the game won't work.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that didn't witness this fucking situation, this was an unfortunate thing. Roman had specifically, due to the launch window of this game, it hit just at the right time that it would fit into kind of like, well, actually a little bit earlier, but into your normal, you know, stream window. And so I had done the Outriders stream, of course, and then we were like, I was chatting to you, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna jump in this fucking stream, let's go, dog. And you know, we were hanging out and everything like that. And then you had this weird fucking issue, which wasn't just you, by the way. It was people were plagued with some kind of issue that needed a script line in the command line of Steam to be able to launch, which of course you only, you know, were told about the next fucking day, because that's how long it took them to solve the problem. But yeah, it just ruined the whole thing. I mean, that was not a good fucking launch at all, dude. Because it wasn't just that. People were having all kinds of fucking issues.
Yes, so, there were a lot of issues in the game. Wrong version files being out there, corrupt files with multiplayer.
I mean, dude, in the first half an hour of the game being launched, they patched it 3 times.
3 times in the first hour of launch.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing being live on air when all of that's coming through and you're trying to be a dancing monkey for your audience.
Every time when your fucking PC crashes, it's like update game. You're like, what's going on?
So, for everybody in the chat and watching live, if you want to watch a man slowly go into descend into madness, please subscribe to Roman Wins on YouTube and go into the stream VODs and find the Dying Light 2 stream. There's 2 parts because it broke my PC once. And both of them, you can watch me slowly want to pull my eyeballs out. But the people made me laugh and we had a good time.
I mean, in the end, though, you end up returning the PC version and buying the PS5, correct?
I did. I returned the PC version and I bought the PS5 version because I just wanted to have a stable-ish version that would at least turn on. Any game like this where there's an open world, I know there's going to be jank and bugs and NPCs with their heads spinning around and everything like that. And, you know, it doesn't matter the amount of DLSS you put into it. That's still going to happen. Yeah. So I was like, at least on PS5, I know it will turn on.
Okay, so my question is, since you've been playing it on PS5, that's more stable, or have you also had issues?
I've been playing the PS5 for about 20 hours, and I've only encountered one NPC where they just started like having their body was possessed by the Antichrist, and then other than that, it's been pretty good. there's so much like free flowing movement and jank and drop kicks and things like that. You don't know what's a feature and what's a bug.
No, exactly.
So...
Sometimes you just like, I've had things where I've had a conversation with a vendor, and the vendor just turns around and jumps out the window, and I'm like, fucking cool. And we're like, oh no, wait, that wasn't supposed to happen. The vendor just AI just engaged and it just ran away. So yeah, it's different. So I mean, for me, I again, this is the thing. Like when we go back all the way to Outriders' fucking launch, right? I was one of the people that were blessed. Like I had no issue. So while you were having these issues, I simultaneously thought, well, fuck, let me check this out, and I fired up the game as well. And I managed to put in like 2 hours before I eventually, passed out in my own filth. But that shit went off without a hitch, no crashes, nothing like that, right? And then ever since then, so I've plugged in about, I think I'm about 24, maybe 26 hours into the game now, and I haven't had a single crash, anything like that. So again, I mean, this is the luck of the draw, right? They just rolled out a patch about an hour ago, which was supposed to address some DLSS issues and things like that. And now I can't launch into the game. It's crashing. And already Twitter is a fucking blaze with this. So they have some issues. They have some issues for sure. I think they're also just trying to, watching their Twitter today, they released 3 separate media statements because they have 3 different patches which are rolling out to depending on your platform. So there's a PS5 one, well, a PS one, and then there's an Xbox one, and then of course there's the PC one. And I think these guys are having a hard fucking time, is what I'm saying. It's a little bit sad because all in all, the game's ratings are not poor at all. I mean, it's basically like deep 70s. I don't think I've seen it peaking over 80. I don't know if you've seen. I think that's about the average, right? So I think if I remember correct, Dying Light 1 was rated round about the same way. So I mean, in those terms, I mean, I'm of the school that a score of 75 is still pretty fucking decent in my mind. I don't need everything to be a fucking 95. But what is not doing them any fucking favors is this shit, because you get a lot of people that give it that 2, 3, 4 day grace period before they pick up a game, that aren't necessarily people that review watch, but rather just check like trends on Twitter or how Reddit explodes or how people moan on YouTube and stuff like that. So they're actually looking more for reactions than they're looking for reviews. And that's of course where this game is burning right now. So. Yeah.
I am going to review the game, and I don't worry about it being timely. I really want, as people get to know my voice as I grow in this game, I need to give them a basis of where I come from and how I approach a game. So it's sitting at a 3 for me right now out of 5. I rate on a 5 scale, and the multiplayer has been a revelation to me. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, the game is like, it's not a challenging game. You can get through everything, and you can creatively overcome obstacles regardless of your level or what weapons are at your disposal, just based on using the environment and using the things around. But to take the stress completely out is, bring in a couple buddies that you could just get into some ridiculousness. So it's a weird game to me because there's a level of jank that's charming, and there's a level of forgettable storytelling that you kind of just want to like, okay, I'm gonna skip through this dialogue because I want to go back to hitting people with it.
Yeah, I want to murder some more fucking zombies, right? That's
so the gameplay loop is fun. Yeah. Story's kind of meh. The loop's great, but, and this is kind of, I don't know how damning this comment is. I mean, it's a parody of a Skyrim, and you've done everything in 2 hours. Like, you're just gonna be doing more of it over 30. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a great way to put it, and I think I'm in your head when with regards to that, because I feel the same way, and basically that you've seen everything that this game has to offer in the first 3 to 4 hours, right? And arguably, right, you've probably seen the best version of it, because I personally think that the first fucking 2 hours of this game, when you're out in the wilderness and you're making your way into the city, is probably the tightest part of the game,
because it's curated.
Correct. And it's, you're kind of on rails, and it's you don't have too much opportunity for weird, jank where you're jumping off a roof and it looks like you're gonna make the jump, but the game decides fuck you and you don't, and you fall through a fucking car wreck, or like you bump into a little loose piece of wire and that sends you careening off a building, or like weird shit like that. So So I definitely I like what they wanted to do with the intro, because they wanted to create this like really strong narrative right at the start that gets you rooted into the character, makes you understand where he's coming from, and I got vibes of like Last of Us, and like you're on the road, you're making your way in, and I like shit like that. I like that in my post-apocalyptic stories. What's weird for me then is that the minute you get to the city, they're like, fuck the story, we're out, like it is what, and it just bail off it and
go nuts.
It's the issue with me with this game is I've never, or not never, that's, I should be careful of using hyperbole like that. I haven't recently played a game that I was so easily just pressing spacebar to get through the fucking dialogue. It amazed me how fast I abandoned this game's story. I really did.
So I asked myself a question because I found myself in the exact same thing, and we haven't talked about this, so I really am curious to hear your perspective on this. Is it this game, or is it the time in gaming that we're in, that there's so much stuff that you want to go do, there's so much stuff that you want to go play, you want to get a meaty bite out of this game, do this world, and then go on to something else? And it's like the narrative hooks, if it's not going to be a narratively focused game, and you have this massive open world to play in, because it is a big open world.
It's huge. It's fucking huge.
What's the hook that's going to keep me in this world? Because I can only do so many drop kicks off of a rooftop and stomp a dude's head in before I'm just like, okay, you're just giving me, drop kick in the day, drop kick in the night, run, and then, parkour. It's like, where is the open world genre in trouble with all of the micro games, with all of the indie titles, with all of the different genres pushing out all of this stuff? Because it's just an interesting dynamic with these two games that came out. I want to go in and master Sifu versus finish a game that I'm actually trying to review in Dying Light.
Here's the funny thing, right? Here's the thing. Sifu is seen as the shorter experience, but that's the game you want to spend 500 hours on. How fucking weird is that? No, I think that's a phenomenal fucking question, and I think, at least for me, and this is the thing that I know now today. Okay, I'm a guy that spent more than 1,500 hours on Skyrim. We brought Skyrim up just now, so it works perfectly well for me to make this point. And the gamer that I am today, I couldn't spend 1,500 hours on Skyrim. Now that's a combination of I don't play games that way anymore, I don't have that time anymore, I don't have that level of interest anymore, but also it's because I have more choice now. There's more things available. If you expect, and this game, right, when you get into the systems of this game, you can see that they had a core idea. So they said, okay, cool. So we've got 6 to 7 activities that we want people to be able to do. We want them to be able to upgrade power stations, start water towers, blah, 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 blah. We want them to do, bases. I mean, Jesus Christ, like 12 hours into the game, you find you're like, oh shit, this is a brand new activity, which is of course like the, activating stations, for instance, right? But the point is that they had all these things, and then they said, okay, cool. But what we have to do is we just have to stack so much busy work on top of this so that we get people playing the game longer. It's weird for me, right? Because people played Dying Light 1 for 500 hours, but Dying Light 1 had far less than this game. They added this shit later. Dying Light 1 at launch was a completely different game to Dying Light 3 years after launch. They had added so much additional stuff. The Forgotten had come out, the expansion. They added all this fucking DLC you had to chase down, everything like that. It's almost as if with this time around, they were like, Jesus, we have to captivate people. So instead of making an item have 4 upgrade levels that you have to farm out, make it fucking 10. Make it that you have to farm, and I mean, then you look at like arrows, right? Arrows, and then you get an infect arrow, and like all these different arrows, and all of them have upgrade paths. I understand why they say 500, and that's because of the amount of raw fucking materials you're gonna have to farm out to do all these things. And the point is, if your loop is not captivating enough to make people, if the reward on that, if you're making me farm out 10 levels of an arrow so that when I'm done with level 10, I do 10 more damage and my arrow travels 5 meters further, you haven't really accomplished anything with an evolution of that item. And that is, for me, across the board, the problem with this game. Is like they were so concerned with keeping people in front of that game for as long as possible that they produced a very loose product. So the fans of the game will climb all over it. And I'm a
That's
fan of the
fine.
game. So I have spent 25 hours with this game, and I'll probably spend another 25 because there's things that I still want to unlock and I want to finish the story and everything like that. But what could have been an incredibly enjoyable 25 hours has kind of turned into a skip. Oh Jesus, I have to farm this. Do I really need level 7 arrows? Now fuck it, I roll out. Like, it's just, I think it is exactly how you said. I think the game has changed, to pardon the pun, right? The old open world game, you know, the old think about Ubisoft's recipe, right? With the fucking, you know, 20 towers you have to climb, so you do this surrounding. This is a pet peeve of mine of this fucking game, is that you have to climb up buildings and then take out the binoculars and just slowly turn around like a fucking lighthouse and just paint all these things. That is such an unintuitive, shitty way of making people discover things.
That almost killed Ghost of Tsushima for me. Like, just seeing all of the markers on a massive map, it gave me anxiety. It was like, I gotta go do all of this, and I can't just enjoy this great samurai tale. Like, and then this game, like, I hopped in, I'm like, yeah, I'm having fun with the traversal, and you know, but God, there's like, when I hearing the 500 hours messed me up already, because it just told me the sheer amount of busy work that's probably in this world. But it's just so hard because it's fun.
It is.
Isn't that what a game's supposed to be about?
The sandbox is fun. Exactly.
The sandbox is fun. And people come in from this from different world perspectives, different life perspectives, different monetary perspectives. Like, some people can't buy every game or play every game like we do, like, as we're trying to create content and churn out content. Some people just need a game that they're going to live in. And there is a fun loop here. So I don't want to take away that from the game or from anybody who's trying. Who this is for them.
Yeah.
But if we're having a frank discussion, the Skyrim with zombies, and it just felt like a parody of a Bethesda game without the charm. And it just, I had to find fun in a different way. I had to make my fun. Correct. And gang stomping a campfire of people telling a story with my buddies, where we took out some shivs and we just, like, you know, made them see their Lord and Savior. That was how we got by in the wastelands. So, you know, your mileage may vary.
No, I think that's the thing. We also, I'm often, I spoke about this in at least a couple of different ways in the last, 2 or 3 weeks. But what has become very apparent for me is that there's obviously lenses through which you look at things like this, right? And it's not my point to differentiate myself from other people, but the point is, like, when I look at a game these days, I look at it from I'm going to play this game and and hopefully I like it. But then I'm also looking at it from a lens of, is this an entertaining game for people to watch? So that's another point. And then last but not least, is this a game that I could potentially make content from? Now, that's not everybody's fucking bag, and that's okay. But these lenses, they matter, because I can't sit and shit on a game because I feel like, yeah, but fuck, I got at least 6 other games to play, so this thing's wasting my time. Because not everybody's gonna feel that way. It's exactly like you said just now. You've got people out there that go like, I buy one game a quarter. And I like killing me some fucking zombies. I really enjoy Dying Light 1. I can convince 2 of my fucking buddies to buy this shit so we can play trios co-op. I'm going to do that. And these are the guys that are going to rock this game for 5 hours. But here's the point. It doesn't matter what the fuck I said. They were going to do that in any case.
That's a great point, because the guy the player who's going to have appointment gaming with their buddies, they're going to make their fun in just about anything.
That's the point. That's the point. And that's why I said this now, because you just said you reached the point in the game where you realized, hold on, but it's actually up to me now to enjoy this. Like, I need to do things a certain way. I need to hook up with buddies, or we need to go on like a fucking murder rampage and just kill everybody, because that's what I'm going to need to do to have fun in this game right now. The difference between a game that works and a game that is captivating is that you're never given the option of doing that, because the game just takes you for a ride.
Wow, that's well said. That's well said. That's so well said. I can't add any more on that subject, but if anyone in the audience wants to add on to that subject, please consider using the Stream Elements button and being part of the show. But with that out of the way, we are going to move into the main topic of the day, my friend. Sony, this little studio out of Japan, decided they wanted to buy Bungie.
The little engine that could.
The little engine that just will not die, will not go quietly into that sweet, sweet night. Decided it wanted to buy is Destiny probably the most successful model of a live service game there is right now?
Yes.
They decided that they want to purchase this little gem of a studio for $3.6 billion doll hairs.
Yes.
$3.6 billion doll hairs.
with like a little kicker on top, right? Like a
$1.2 billion kicker to keep the developers of Destiny 2 in-house. Because they weren't happy with this deal.
No,
so
because I think it's okay. I think I might almost like jump ahead now. So I'd like you to finish what you were saying about the 1.2, keep it in house. They weren't happy, but
you are jumping ahead. You are jumping ahead, but this is a live show.
This is what I do. This is what I do. I blow my load far too fast.
This is your show as much as it is my show. You just jumped your load all over me too fast.
I'm gonna need like 5 minutes of a nap. Okay, I just need to recharge. Okay.
There are some interesting perspectives with this deal. The deal came together over the last 7 months, but it had been in discussions for the past year or two. The debates on that. But a lot of people think that this is in response to Microsoft's acquisition of Activision, but the timing doesn't exactly add up. But you've been behind the scenes in some business deals. I've been behind the scenes in some boardrooms. It leaks out when a studio is going to make a move or a big company is going to make an acquisition of something. So
sure.
To say that they didn't know, and then people want to go back and say that these deals are years and months in the making. Someone tells the board that this company's sniffing around because the competition wants to compete out these prices as well.
Sure.
So this is in some way a direct response to Microsoft.
But in some ways it's not.
But in some ways it's not. And that's what I want to talk about it with you. Where do you see this as a response to Microsoft? Where do you see this as Sony in its attempts to differentiate itself? I want to dive into the consolidation of the entertainment, of the gaming industry, if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I want to jump into all of these things. And then I want to offer a little slant at the end with a little bit about Google and how they're a part of this. But thoughts on the deal, thoughts on paying Bungie for support on other games, because the more details of this deal are Sony is paying for Bungie to remain exclusive. They are going to put out multi-platform content for all systems, but they reserve the right to use Bungie to develop 10 live service games from now until 2026 and have them provide supplemental support in other ventures within Sony's portfolio. But Bungie, its individual IP, its individual products will remain cross-plat and have its own autonomy. So give me your thoughts on the deal.
So I just one thing, and I think this is by no means confirmed but if you dig enough on this, what it seems to look like, right, is the exclusivity that's built into this deal covers the unannounced new IP that Bungie is working on, that they've been working on for 4 years. This is most likely the thing that Bungie was unhappy with and what made them want to walk out the door is because
from Activision.
Correct.
Or from Sony.
From Sony, because this IP is now exclusively tied to a platform where before it wasn't. And that's the thing. So whether that's a spiritual fucking successor to, I don't think it is. Whether it's like, Destiny 3 or something, it's supposed to be a brand new IP. God knows what that can be. I mean, maybe it's Marathon, right? Maybe it's something in the Marathon universe, Durandal fucking 3 or some shit. I don't know, whatever, right? But the point is that firstly, my thought about whether this was a knee-jerk reaction to something. This shit doesn't happen as a knee-jerk. It is impossible to pull the gun, even on, like, I mean, this deal is small potatoes compared to the 60 that Microsoft plowed into Activision. But the point is, deals like this, they don't get pulled in 2 weeks. It just doesn't happen that way. But what most likely happened is there was an ongoing conversation that's been around for a while. And when Microsoft's deal went through, just like everybody, because for some reason people are forgetting they said this now. When that shit went through, everybody turned to and looked at Sony and said, well, you guys better do fucking something. Like you gotta say something. Like you gotta fire back, however it is, because Sony's media response was basically just saying, we're gonna keep working with our partners, we're gonna keep doing our thing. It's really no problem. Everything's gonna be just fine. But they needed to do something business-wise as well. They needed to, like, a show of strength, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And the point is this: Bungie owns the most successful looter shooter franchise that's been monetized yet.
Okay? Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, no, and I just wanted to say, right, that the looter shooter franchise is rife with games that fucking eat themselves up and die, right? I'm gonna run out of fucking fingers naming them, right? But the point is that Destiny 2 has somehow, right, done the unthinkable, right? It's not only that it's the most competent looter shooter out there, right, in terms of its mechanics and everything like that, but it's done something that these games usually aren't good at. Either the game's good or the story's good. Destiny now has fucking woven in a ridiculously good story. And then that's complemented by some of the tightest gunplay fucking known to man. So that doesn't matter about Microsoft's acquisition of Activision or anything like that. This is a fucking good move regardless. It's a great studio to fucking nab. And if you look at Sony's history last year, where usually Sony spends money on one studio a year, last year they bought fucking 5. They bought Housemarque, and like 4 other studios. And so this seems to be in line with this is in line with their strategy. They're firming up their roster. But the point is they had to do something.
And it's funny because there's 2 studios that like I just akin to like a Pixar, right? It was like with the quality of that studio for Disney and the animation. For me, it was Blizzard and it was Bungie. And now both of them have been, taken over to Activision with Microsoft and now Bungie with Sony. It's just very funny to me, but it feels like, if you really dig into this, it feels like this is to go directly at their own child. It feels like this studio is to go at Halo. Like that's what it feels like to me.
A lot of this stuff, has that look for it, for sure, 100%.
Because it's interesting because in Sony's portfolio of first-party games, it's curated, it's boutique third-party story, third-person action-adventure storytelling. They don't have a shooter on the platform that's exclusive to them, and to have probably some of the best gunplay in the business, and in Bungie and in Destiny, and now to have them exclusive to make that type of thing for your portfolio, to make maybe that next IP that's coming out will be that answer to that. And then to dive into the Sony Entertainment portion of it, you have the Halo TV show that's coming out on Paramount Plus. Sony's going to come back with maybe a Destiny show, maybe a Destiny movie, maybe a sci-fi, animated thing. It's going to be very interesting to see how they continue to round out this portfolio. And is this rounded out portfolio to stand on their own, or is it to be a part of an acquisition? But what we do know is this: Sony has publicly announced, Jim Ryan has come out and said, we have $10 billion more of spending available this fiscal year, and more acquisitions will happen. So who 100%. Is next on the block? So as always here, we like to do a little bit of bold predictions. Everybody in the chat, give us a bold prediction.
Baby, let's go.
Speculation is hilarious, baby. Speculation is fun, and there's no problem being wrong, except if you make a bold prediction on the Separated at Birth channel, because if you are wrong, there will be punishments. All right, so you got to stay tuned to future episodes where those punishments will be announced.
We will queue you up on that for sure.
That's right. The pain train will be here. Unfortunately, we can't torture our audience, but you and I can torture one another. So that will be forthcoming. I want everybody in the chat, and if you're watching this video after the fact, put into the comments of the YouTube video, give us a bold prediction of who Sony acquires next. That's the first bold prediction. The second bold prediction will be what company makes the next acquisition, whether it be Microsoft with something else or Sony. Okay.
Can I put a pin in that shit? And can we talk about the fucking the elephant in the room here? Is this even a good thing?
Well, yeah, that's the last leg that I wanted to dive into. But first, we're gonna do these bold predictions.
Okay, so we're doing the predictions first, because whether it's a good thing or not actually affects my predictions. It sounds weird, but hear me out.
Okay. Well, we'll come back. We'll come back to the bold prediction then.
Okay,
we'll come back to the bold prediction.
No, fuck you. You said bold predictions, and I'm ready. I got my notepad and shit. I'm gonna be super bold. No, I mean, you know what I'm gonna fucking say, right? It's gotta be, someone's gonna fucking snap up like Capcom. Okay, and I'll tell you why. And I'm not saying it because I'm talking about fighting games, because I know that's the angle that you're thinking, and that's a very valid fucking point. And I think that certain games belong on certain platforms, right? But what we have to remember is that Sony might be still thinking about this in an antiquated way. If they're still thinking about platforms and exclusivity, they are possibly going in the wrong direction. I'm not going to stand here and say they are for sure, but I think the fucking platform war is over. I think it's about content now. And I'm not saying that that's what Microsoft is thinking, but it surely looks that way. They're about content delivery right now, right? So if Sony is still making these moves going like, okay, cool, that means we can secure IP for the fucking PS5 like 2 years into its lifespan, or get the PS6 fucking launch, God knows fucking what, right? If they're thinking that way, they can get left behind. So the reason why I say Capcom is because Capcom has titles, right, which traditionally have been a platform exclusive, which are perfectly ripe for fucking for expanding out. If they wanted to build up their roster of things that can go multi-platform and that can be content driven. And I mean like the Resident Evils of the world and, things like that. So that's the only reason. Plus, I mean, I want a good home for Capcom. And that's why I said my answer depends on whether it's a good idea or not.
Yeah, because Monster Hunter is a massive IP for that company as well.
Exactly. I mean, I didn't even fucking mention that. Like, that's the thing. So for me, it's that. If you would allow me to pick a second one, but I'm not going to do that because I might hit yours and I'm not going to step on your toes. So first say, then, I mean, for you, if it's...
So you believe the next studio to be purchased will be Capcom, but you didn't specify by who. Oh,
I think Capcom's going to be bought out by Sony. I don't know if Sony has enough juice though. That's the problem. I don't think they have.
There's some discussion in the chat. Listen, everybody, for the bold predictions, and if you want to make a comment on the bold predictions, just put it into the chat. We're gonna file it down. We have a scoring system for the channel. We're gonna, whenever we do these bold predictions, we keep a tally of the bold predictions. And if you couldn't be on the live show, like on our previous episode where we talked about the MCU, feel free to go back into that other episode and put your bold prediction down into the chat. You could put it down into the clip of that video too. There's a clip for the specific bold prediction section. We'll also clip this part out. Yes. So you could be a part of the bold predictions just by joining in the chat.
Just by commenting. We've been keeping track of those. Some people have been dropping them in the VODs like from last week, and we keep track of all of that. So we put it into the fucking file locker, baby, and when we review it and everything. So drop in your predictions, put them in chat there. We farm out the comments and everything like that, and we put it in there. This is just another way for us to, come back in 5-6, weeks or whatever, or however long it takes, right? And come back and go, oh, remember when we said this, remember we said that, some of you guys agreed with us, some of you didn't, but it's a talking point, right? So we will definitely find that, and we will put it there. But that's my prediction. That's my prediction. Capcom by Sony. Whether it's the next one, that's tough. Oh shit!
That's why it's a bold prediction.
Walter Melon. Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you for your patronage, sir. I appreciate it. Walter Melon. I don't know if that's a real person.
Was there a comment that we want to discuss?
It'll come up just now. It should. the stream is always like a little bit behind.
So the way it works, guys, if you're new to the channel, if you're new to the podcast, any contributions that you provide will get your comment discussed on air. So if you want to join in the conversation, if you want to bring your perspective to these topics, then that's when we suggest that you derail the show and be a part of the show, because this is your show as well. But with that, we're going to drive on. If there wasn't a comment with that donation,
I am busy checking it right now because I don't want to be a terrible person and not address that. So, but please carry on. You have to give us your prediction. Yeah.
So it's a toss up for me with my bold prediction. It was going to be between Namco Bandai Namco, the dyslexia.
I got you, baby. I got you. That
Bandai Namco.
Actually, I think your version sounds cooler.
What did I say? Blambai Bambo?
Namkai Bando.
Namkai Bando.
No, I like it. It's got like some zing to it, bro.
it was a tie between Bandai Namco and Capcom. Those were where I was going. I think Square Enix is I think Square Enix is too important to the industry to be exclusive.
To be beholden to one master.
Yes, be beholden to one master. And like, I just really think of the Japanese studios, that's the one that I would like the least to be exclusive. So that's my heart talking. From a profitability standpoint, the one that would be the hardest to snare in would be a tie between Namco and Capcom. They make a lot of money. But I do look at it from a fighting game perspective, and you told me not to. I'm sorry, I do.
No, you have to. You have to look at it from your perspective and I from mine. So I won't see it with the fighting game eye, but you definitely will. So,
but here's why. Have to. Here's why. Sony made a big purchase that kind of went under the radar that people don't even discuss. Last year, Sony purchased EVO. Sony purchased the world's largest fighting game tournament in the world. So you're not going to have a fighting game tournament and not have exclusivity to some of the biggest fighting game apparatuses in the industry. They can't afford a Street Fighter to go exclusive and not gobble it up.
That's the point, though. I mean, if that's not foreshadowing, then I don't know what is.
Yes, and so, but of the things that but Namco has Tekken, and Square Enix doesn't have a fighter. So I would lean to those two first. I will go out on a bold prediction and suffer the penalty that incur, because I believe you will be right, but I will say Namco. But Bandai Namco, with it comes like every anime game ever. So it's a huge portfolio. They make a lot of games.
Are they big on the mobile scene as well?
They are. Yes.
Because you got to always look at it through that lens as well, right? A lot of these companies have mobile potential, and that's the other big thing as well, right?
Yeah, Akatsuki, who partners with Bandai, they make a lot of those Naruto gacha games or the Dragon Ball gacha games, and those things make gangbusters.
Yeah, that's successful as fucking hell.
Yeah, so
I just want to close the loop on something here quickly. So Walter Mallon actually just gave us a great compliment and said, great conversation. So there wasn't a question there. So thank you so much for that donation. I really appreciate it. But yeah, no question. Guys, I will, let's just quickly talk about this, right? Because I do see some stuff being mentioned in chat here, and I also just want to mention something. Because we're obviously not partnered on YouTube yet, there are no donations buttons or anything like that. So we have to use third-party software for this. And in this case, we're using Streamlabs. And so what that does is it's a third-party software. You have to use PayPal or something to pay into it. And so I'm going to have to just look at a way that we can organically bring this stuff into the chat, because at the moment right now I'm actually going to Streamlabs and I'm just verifying it like that. So leave that with me. I'll figure a way to do that up until the point where we actually get partnered with YouTube, which is, I believe it in my heart, not far away. And then that'll make all those woes go away. But I want you guys to know that none of this is expected or anything like that. It is simply a way for us to, to have you engage and also to bring your own perspectives into it. And as Roman mentioned so rightly, to derail the conversation in a way and, get us to focus on a specific point and give our own opinions on that again as well. And so for that, the link is there. And if there is a question, I will go find it in Streamlabs and I'll read it on air and we will handle it from there. So sorry for the little business, side there, but yeah, I just wanted everybody to understand a little bit more.
Well said. He's a maestro on the mic, isn't he, people? That's why I pay him the small dollars to come on here and make me look good. But going back, we're going back to the bold predictions.
Yes.
Bold prediction number 2 was what company makes the next acquisition first? Will it be Microsoft buying somebody else? Will it be Sony buying somebody else, or will somebody else come in like a
trading
Nintendo?
blows now, right? Like,
right.
It's like, yeah.
Because both companies have gone out of their way to say on Twitter that more acquisitions will come.
Sure. I mean, I think probably the next one to pull the trigger, and I mean I shoot my I shoot my bold prediction in the arse here, right? Because I said Capcom fucking Sony first, right? But it makes more sense just from a timing perspective, and also from the size of their wallet, that probably Microsoft does the next one, right? Because Microsoft's still sitting with like 60 fucking bull like in the bank, right? Yes. They're good to go, you know. So Sony obviously also still has some bucks, but not nearly that much. And so you might consider a situation where people aren't just immediately gonna vent their bank accounts in the first 2 months of a calendar year, and then not see how things fucking swing around by the end of 2022. So Sony might, if you look at how they acquired their 5 companies last year, they kind of did them spread across the year. Right? Mm-hmm. They didn't buy them all in Feb or some shit like that. So I would imagine Sony probably waits, and it's not even to say that Microsoft is the next one to go. You brought up Nintendo just now, but it's also the smaller companies buy each other out as well, and we just don't notice those because they're a little bit, they're a little bit less catchy with the amounts. But I mean, why is nobody talking about Take-Two, for instance?
I just got to know, THQ Nordic just bought another no-name studio that nobody knows about, because that's what they do. Do you keep track of THQ Nordic? They buy up every small
but I think they hate buy shit. They buy guys to stop them from bringing something out, or just to like absorb their shit in and bring it out themselves. So yeah.
So you mentioned Take-Two. And there was a report 18 months ago that Sony was in talks with Take-Two for a purchase. With them coming out and announcing just this week that Rockstar is working on Grand Theft Auto 6, even though they've been working on it for the last 4 years, but
supposedly
they actually came out and said it. Hey, that to me, and I this is weird because we just saw Activision sell. They seem too big to sell.
Nobody's too big to sell.
That's the lesson that I've learned in all of this. Nobody's too big to sell, but I can't see a Sony buying them unless that Apple money comes in. Yeah, I'm still, and guys, this has been my conspiracy for 2 years. I have committed that Apple will buy Sony. Everybody looks at me like I'm a crazy person, but I have my reasons for that.
I'd be one of them simply for the reason that, please, Jesus Christ, don't make Apple buy Sony. Please, yeah. please. Dude, I think at this moment in time, and maybe that's the perfect shoe on for us into the back end of this conversation. It's just that a lot of this is very concerning for me, and I'm not even going to talk about, I mean, I suppose we should talk about things like antitrust and monopoly and all of that stuff, but I think I said it in the first podcast, and I've since had time to refine that statement even more, but my issue with this shit is like the loss of identity that you get with this stuff, and I know that you think like NFTs and this shit is fucking snake oil and like bullshit, but whether and I mean, I'm with you on that, dude. I'm also an old dude that thinks it's fucking whisper shit, but it's a thing. And NFTs, alongside a bunch of other stuff, like fucking pay to play and all this fucking shit. Or sorry, play to. Well, how does it go? Earn to play. Or play to earn.
To win?
Play to earn. No, play to earn. So that's the new thing that's coming in, where you play and then you fucking earn like things which award you with NFTs and all that. This is all this fucking bullshit.
It's essentially like gaming, the crypto mining, but with gaming.
Yes. Yeah. That's a big fucking thing. Like you just have to spend like a half an hour on TikTok, and if you're unlucky enough to accidentally watch one of these fucking things for longer than 5 seconds, and the algorithm goes, bro, this guy's into this shit, then your life's over. Fucking burn your phone and leave in the night like fucking Hulk. Like it's just my issue is that I grew up, and so did you and everything like that, that I like genres as much as the next guy, but more specifically what I like is I like studios' portrayals of certain things. Like back in the day, no studio could have done Diablo except Blizzard.
Right.
And for that matter, no studio could have done World of Warcraft except Blizzard. There's certain studios that are destined to bring certain games to you. Bungie was supposed to fucking bring Halo, but obviously destined to not finish it. That was up to 343 to fuck into the ground, right? But if you look at like it's just Bungie is the best studio right now to do Destiny. Nobody else can do it better because they own that shit. Right? And a lot of the times you can look at some games, you could be like, I don't even know who the fuck made this. This could literally be anybody that made this because it has no soul. The soul has left the body. And
the je ne sais quoi.
That is what I'm fucking scared of here. And again, I could just be the old man standing outside on the fucking lawn howling at the moon, and that's okay. That's okay if that's my station in life. But my issue is the loss of identity here, and with this consolidation, everything goes under the same hat, and then studios start having discussions like, you can't put that in your game because we have a game coming out in 2 years time that has something similar to that, and it's kind of like our whole core feature, and you're gonna fucking fuck us now if you put that in as like a side quest for you, so you're gonna have to take that out. And that's the kind of like that's what I'm scared of. That is what I'm scared of. And again, I could be wrong. This could be so harmonious and great, but let's be honest, when has it ever worked out where 12 things became 2, and then those 2 things were basically as good as those 12 things combined or better? It doesn't happen, dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's games are getting bigger and bigger, and it's harder to compete and show something new without serious financial commitment. I mean, it was all of the goodwill of a Witcher 3 for a CD Projekt Red to go bold with a Cyberpunk, and then the pressures of being independent and having shareholders crushed them because they pushed out a game that wasn't ready. Because
Correct.
they needed to have a return on investment. Correct. And now their reputation is dog shit.
And so that's the point, Roman. You as a fan of those studios, right?
Yes.
Can you put those games next to each other, and does it feel like they came from the same studio?
Not at all. Yeah, not at all. V only had 1 sex scene in the game. Geralt had 19. I don't get it. But other than that, that was my perspective. I just was looking for those that beast.
Looking to collect those cards, those collector cards. Gotta collect all those whores.
Gotta get those Gwent.
No, if
you look at my game time in Witcher 3 and all my time at Cripple Kate's boutique, I mean, it's sad. But yeah, the consolidation of the business is an interesting thing. I'm trying to lean positive with like a larger studio can absorb more delays and take on more less crunch.
But they can also stack on more pressure though.
But they can also stack on more pressure. They can also bring in other teams to supplement and bring in new features. I go back to the Raising Kratos documentary, fantastically done. Sony Santa Monica was split between 2 independent IP and God of War at the same time. Sony came in and said, this is shit. You need to focus on this. And then they turned out one of the greatest games of a generation. So sometimes it can be good. Yeah. Sometimes it can be good. But we haven't seen on Microsoft's side do that yet. We haven't seen them churn out a good first party game. I mean, Halo's already a whisper in the wind. Like there's no hype for that right now. The people who are just playing the multiplayer. The story mode was a dead fart. I am hearing from people though that are known in the industry and are developers in a certain game type that they've seen all of the key markers in the story open world that it is primed for a battle royale mode that they're waiting to drop onto people.
Holy shit.
So a Halo battle royale could be in the works, but that's still more of the multiplayer side, not anything on the story, something that gives it a soul, gives you a reason to live within that universe. Yeah. I'm still waiting on that from an independent studio. I've only felt that on the side of Sony and with formerly a CD Projekt Red, but they gotta unfuck themselves. So I mean, what are you? So you've expressed your fears of the consolidation,
sure.
And I've given kind of my pro slant to it, but we're already seeing some of the ill effects of IP consolidation because
daddy. Yes, exactly.
There's a report that Google has already moved 80% of its development staff off of Stadia and leaving only 20% to manage the games that they currently have in their portfolio.
Y'all bought a fucking expensive fucking paperweight though, dude. Holy shit.
I own 2 founders packs from Stadia, but
No.
I do. Yeah. So, I mean, do you think this is the end of Stadia? They have already rebranded it internally to Google Stream, and they are sharing it with commercial products like Peloton, so that way they can do virtual sessions
Sure.
of studio shows and things like that. But they are completely moving off of the gaming space. To me, it just screams of we can't get any exclusive games for the platform because everything is going to Microsoft and Sony. How are we going to compete in this space? That to me is why Microsoft did it. They want to box out these other big tech companies from being able to make
they're
games.
killing off platforms. They're killing
off
platforms.
You're absolutely right. This is a platform. The platform war is dead. They're nuking it from space with the hammer of dawn. But what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on cloud gaming? Well, did you ever see anything in Stadia?
Fucking yuck. I'm sorry. Like, I'll preface my fucking statement with just yuck. But look, I you know, it's such a, like, the thing for me with Stadia is that shit was dead in the water once the very critical promise that was made right at the start with that was you wouldn't have to rebuy your games. That was one of the and I mean they are famously fucking crucified for this, and I think rightly so. Fuck them. That was a big lie to tell, only then for people to realize, like, holy shit, I have to buy all this stuff all over again. And that's a massive, like, gotcha to pull on consumers. That's not fucking great, right? So that's a shitty move, and I think they deserve all the problems that they got with the platform for that alone. But then the thing is, if you look at let me make a good example here. So Microsoft and PlayStation, or Sony, right? So Microsoft with the Xbox and Sony with the PlayStation, their vetting process, right? When it comes to, so I'm going to take you on a little trip here. So when a patch is made by a studio, this patch is submitted to the Microsoft or the Sony or something like that, and then this patch is vetted before it's actually deployed on their system. So famously, Microsoft are fucking assholes when it comes to this patching process, and there's certain windows in which these can be, pushed in. And then sometimes, like, if you don't make that window, if you don't pass the quality check or something like that, or you don't have the right certificates in place or something like that, they simply reject the process, and then studios have to start all over again. Now, they're famous for this, and this is often why you'll find situations where games will be, Outriders is well known for this, where you had large amounts of issues with that game on Microsoft's platform, and it was because, in essence, the game, they had a huge problem with actually introducing these patches in a timely fashion, because they would already be 1 or 2 patch cycles ahead with the other platforms, and they were waiting for Microsoft to catch up, and they can't do it because Microsoft's getting them unnecessary uphill. Now, the reason for my long fucking story around this is there's one company that's notoriously even fucking worse at this, and that is the Stadia situation. They were ridiculously bad at offering any kind of support post-launch for fucking anything. They had no patch vetting process, they had no roadmaps, nothing like that. And a lot of people blame, again, not to boost up People Can Fly with Outriders or anything, but a lot of people like fucking hate them for what they did to Stadia Outriders, but that shit was out of their fucking hands. So I think before we even talk about Sony loading or Microsoft loading a fucking golden bullet and shooting them through the fucking skulls, they did this to themselves like a fucking calendar year ago.
Yeah.
You don't launch a new platform and do it like this.
So what are your thoughts on cloud gaming? I'm a big believer in cloud gaming. I'm a person that travels a lot. I move around a lot. To have a dongle or a device like a Chromecast or something like that, where I can plug into anything and play wherever I'm at in the world, as long as I have a stable internet connection, that really spoke to me. That was something that was extremely, extremely enticing to me. But no one remembers the Bopter or the Bane. They don't remember all the people that thought they could fly and push that device off a cliff, and then they fell to their death. They only remember the helicopter and the plane that actually flew and got off the ground.
Sure.
So yes, a Stadia is going to stumble and crash and die a fiery death, but I am waiting for the hovercraft. I'm waiting for true cloud gaming. That is something that is big for me. I just hate that Sony or Microsoft's going to be the one that gets to it first, probably. I'm a big proponent in the GeForce Now product, because you don't have to rebuy your games, but you do. It is very glitchy. I've tried. I've done a deep dive into it, but What are your thoughts on cloud gaming? Do you think it is the future? Do you think we will? You obviously you alluded to it. You think we're going to be platform free?
Yeah. This is the thing though, right? Like as much as I know that we're going to be platform free, I believe it in my heart, right? My issue is that it's not something I yearn for. I understand what you're saying with like the ability to travel and get, not be forced to play fucking, Candy Crush, but rather the fucking games that you want to fucking play, right? And I'm a big fan of that, but I
just want to play Sifu everywhere I go. That's just all I want.
Well, there you go. Well, I mean, once the Steam Deck comes out, oh shit, it's Epic exclusive. Fuck. so no, my issue with it is pretty much exactly that, and it's encapsulated by that statement there right now. I think that first and foremost, a large love for me in gaming is being able to play the game in like this setting that I create for myself. So I always like I have an issue with, I mean, I have lots of portables. I have a fucking Switch that's like full to the brim with fucking games that I just never play, because I always think of this like, I've got this pack rat mentality, like get that Switch ready when we travel, dog. And then I end up playing like a little bit of the games and I don't, because there's this part of me going like, Jesus, I could be playing this on a big screen. And that just means that market is not for me. And I'm mature enough with myself to admit that. But I think when we're talking about cloud gaming, I think that the iteration of cloud gaming that we have right now is not what it's going to be. So right. I'm okay with hating what we have right now because it's impractical and it's buggy and it doesn't always work. And, because what you have to remember something though, right, is I'm from Africa, baby. And what these cloud gaming solutions always forget is the fucking piece of shit with shitty internet.
It's true.
So I feel for my fucking bros back home when somebody says, yeah, you can play Destiny 2 now, by just plugging this dongle into your TV, but you need like 5 meg fiber. And then like that literally locks out 99% of the fucking population. So this is the thing, that this is the river that these guys will have to cross when it comes to this. And that's why I say, like, the iteration of cloud gaming that we have right now is extremely data intensive in our current networking infrastructure and all of that, and is perhaps not the way that this is going to end up. I'm not saying that Elon Musk is going to bless us with that a 50 meg fiber wherever you are in the world satellite system or whatever that he's fucking building. But the point is that surely this is a move by Microsoft to move in the direction of a dongle or a kind of a thing where plug it into any device and it becomes a Xbox Game Pass distributing system. I just don't think we're thinking about it and looking at it through the eyes of what we think cloud gaming is now. And I don't think that that's what we're going to get. I don't think that's where this is going. I think this is going in a version of parallel computing or something like that, which is able to offset these issues with upload speeds and all of that stuff. Perhaps now games go into development cycles that breach the game into two, and this is for fixed platforms and this is for cloud, and it has completely different ways in which like the game deploys itself and all of that, because mobile gaming is huge. It's far bigger than we'd like to admit. We who sit and play on consoles and PCs and stuff like that think that we're the master gaming race. And in many ways we are. But the money is on mobile. And if you think that these big guys are not in it for the money, you're wrong. They're not in it to make us happy. They have shareholders that want fucking value and they want to make money. And if that money's on mobile, that's where they're going to go. And they're gonna develop ways of making that mobile system as good as what you have in front of you, and that's exciting. That's exciting. I'd like to get a peek at that, but I think we're ways away.
It's funny because a shocking mobile game that is catching people by storm, and people are downloading BlueStacks and Nox emulator, where you can turn a mobile platform into a PC experience. Is First Soldier Final Fantasy. It's a battle royale that's a mobile game. Shit.
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, check it out. It's getting a lot of traction. It had some betas and people are going nuts over it. It's like a MOBA, and you jump in and you have some Final Fantasy 7 type powers, and it's doing really well. And it's like you're saying, like that quality will shift to mobile as that evolution of technology grows. So you did spark my mind when you brought that up. And it is an interesting thing. It's chasing that dragon, that financial dragon. I think of a company that would be more prone to chase that dragon and chase those trends would be a Microsoft. I think Sony's at home making boutique curated games, and that's where I think that they'll survive this if they weather the storm, because there will be a market for narrative storytelling, of which they've shown that they're the masters of. And that's why I don't push the panic button yet. Do you think the Bungie acquisition is a panic button? I think it's a rounding out of its portfolio, so that way it can still remain making that AAA pristine level of stuff that you can only get on Sony, where I still have no desire to buy an Xbox. I play whatever they put on Game Pass PC. There hasn't been anything yet in all of this that has made me want to buy an Xbox. And of all their acquisitions, those are all primary PC games. And they're already tipping their hand. They came out with a press statement. This is so funny. It ties into what you're saying. World of Warcraft will be on mobile.
Yep.
So it's like they are going to be the ones that chase that avenue. And I think Sony will always have a home in making tight narrative storytelling.
I'm personally not even a little bit concerned, and I'll tell you exactly why. I think you said it fucking perfectly. I think, as much as I, in a way, think that Sony might be looking at this in a little bit of an antiquated way, at the same time as well, Sony is being Sony. Sony is the sleeping dragon. Sony, Sony is about making good games, and they're making good games on their platform. And so if they just stick with that, and Microsoft becomes this fucking massive multiplayer online on your mobile, thing, then I think Sony's the kind of company that would be okay with that, because they still have their consoles with their, games coming out. Yes, I understand that from a shareholder perspective, that you'll always have like the Sony shareholders going like, why can't we have any of that? But here's the thing. If you look at what happened with when the Activision deal was announced, Sony's fucking stock took a plunge. Then they announced
$20 billion.
Yeah, but then they announced the Bungie fucking deal, and it jumps right back up. Not back to where it was, but Jesus Christ, close enough, right? The point is just that I'm not as... I would be concerned if Sony acted like a fucking drunk person now and reacted to this shit. The fact that they are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and that is vetting a studio and then saying, we like this pedigree that you have here. It fits in our stable because this is what we do. We take the refinement of ideas and we bring it to our audience. And so come on aboard, let's go. That's what buying Bungie to me means. It means you're taking a studio, right, that used to be part of Activision and fucking went independent from that shit and said, we have a vision for a game, and then took 1.5 years to correct the ship, turn that thing around, and arguably now the game is in the best state it's ever done. And then Sony looks at that and goes, you've proven your status in this, like you've shown that you can deliver, so come on aboard. That is exactly what a studio like this should do. Whereas the other side of what Microsoft is doing is Microsoft is buying success, right? Warzone is, in my opinion, in the worst fucking state it's been in 2 years. So they're surely not buying that game because it's like the best version of Warzone is not. They're buying it because it's fucking Warzone and because it makes money. So they're making money decisions, whereas, and this is the thing, dude, this is so important to me, and in business, it has no way, and that's why I have such an old way of thinking about this. Passion. Sony has passion with this shit. Sony is still releasing, like, I mean, which other studio could bring a game like Ghost of Tsushima, right? And bring it to an audience who Sony, the people are waiting for, where's my next GTA, motherfucker, let's go. And then you give them a game like that. You mentioned just now like God of War, and as much of a testament as it is to Sony for showing the guidance there and helping that studio with going like, guys, you have two products here. One is really bad and it's making this one fail, so can we just leave it? It also shows them in having the faith in Santa Monica to know that these are people that are going to take that advice and take it right. This is a studio and a company that is closely aligned with their partners, with their studios that develop for them. And that is why, in my opinion, they will always be superior. They won't make the most money, but the passion will be there. I haven't seen that passion in Microsoft. They didn't have the balls to keep Halo Infinite exclusive. That means you don't have passion. You don't believe in your product. You didn't think it was strong enough that you could put it behind a console and say, if you don't buy a fucking Xbox, fuck you. You ain't playing this. That's passion.
I just thought about something and I just tied all of it together while I was listening to you talk so eloquently. So a little while ago when Halo was about to come out, and this ties into God of War, David Jaffe, who was one of the original creators of God of War, said that he heard through the grapevine that Cory Barlog wasn't going to be directing. This was before the announcement that Cory Barlog wasn't directing God of War Ragnarok. He said Cory Barlog isn't directing Ragnarok. He's busy working on a sci-fi game. And we do know that the failed game that Sony ultimately put the kink was a sci-fi game.
Yeah.
What if Bungie helps make a sci-fi game with the Cory Barlog to compete in that space? That would be something else.
Let's fucking go, dude. That you haven't given me any detail, but that already sounds dope.
Yeah, I think there might be something there because he was very convinced that Cory was working on it and that it was gonna be a Halo killer, and who better to do a Halo killer than Bungie?
Yeah,
that'd be pretty great.
I mean, that's like
pure speculation here, people. That's what we do at the Separated at Birth podcast. We talk purely out of our ass.
But you better fucking believe if we end up being right, you'll be the first one.
You heard it here first, baby. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Let's go. But I believe I do. You know, and you convinced me of it, and we went more into it. I mean, I think that curated gaming experience that Sony provides, I think they'll be fine. I still think that, and I think that, I mean, look at Insomniac. I mean, there's nothing that Marvel can do with anybody else that's going to compete with a Spider-Man. That's probably going to be able to compete with the Wolverine game that they're coming out with. That Miles Morales was just a DLC, but it was just amazing.
But it's a DLC that stands above most other games of its type that are full launch titles.
Exactly. So I don't worry about them. The only thing is that when the stock hit, and you know, I was worried that they were going to be a little shaken. We're going to see what Spartacus does. I really hope that it's a full release of their back catalog. There has been findings on the PlayStation Store of trophies for PS3 games. So that is a big indicator that if PS3 games are getting trophy support in the PS5 storefront, that Spartacus will be their answer to backwards compatibility, which I'm all here for. Sony has created the greatest handheld of all time in the Vita. I pack it with me everywhere I go when I travel. I don't necessarily play it on the plane. I'm like you. I listen to a fine podcast. You can download and listen to the Separated at Birth podcast on all of your travels. Please consider that. But I am all about them sticking it out and keep putting out this content. I heard years ago that Apple was sniffing, so I've always held on to that. I do still believe that it will happen. I don't.
I mean, that would end up making my wife work for fucking making my wife be involved with Sony, and that in itself is like a cool sounding thing. But please, Jesus, no, please, I'm begging you, Roman. I want you to be right on many things, but this is the one I cannot, in my heart of hearts, hope for you to be right about. It's certainly, you know, like I don't even want to think about it because there's a lot of ways in which it makes sense. There's a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, the entertainment division, they need a catalog. The Sony entertainment division would fill right into Apple Play. They do want to compete on their Apple TVs and have gaming services
Think
on
about
Apple
the cameras and all that shit, how it integrates into the mobiles, all that. Yeah,
I mean, they have. It would be a perfect marriage. Unfortunately, I hate it, but it may happen. But as we're rounding third and we're heading home, that is a baseball reference. I know you probably do cricket. Or
no,
whatever.
not even, bro.
a little footy. What are you playing? As we get ready to go home, let the people know what you're playing. What are you looking forward to?
Okay, so I mean, obviously, because we burned Dying Light 2 to the fucking ground tonight.
I don't think we burned it to the ground.
Inadvertently. No, I'm joking. But I mean, I am still playing that. I'm playing less Sifu than you, but it's only because I don't want to be reminded of how trash I am. But of course, there's a little fucking MMO situation that is launching tomorrow, that is developing tomorrow for anybody that's jumping into early access or head start, as they call it. Of course, the full release is on the 11th of February, but that's of course Lost Ark. So I don't let me put it this way, like, it's not a game that I'm going to be, you know, fucking like World of Warcrafting or anything like that. I don't see that, but there's a lot in Lost Ark that I like a lot. It's certainly an incredibly beautiful game, and due to the fact that some of the classes that are launching with this launch now, namely the Sorceress, is something that I had my eye on for a fucking long time, and now it's available at launch. I gotta get me some of that. So that's at least gonna, you know, keep me busy for from tomorrow on for at least a few days for sure. So that's in the immediate periphery, is definitely that. So I gotta finish out Dying Light 2. Like I said, I imagine I got about another 4 to 6 hours of story left in me, and then I do wanna there's some skills I still wanna unlock. So that's the thing. But that's pretty much what I got on my menu. How about you?
So you're telling me you're playing a game and you found an OP magic class that you're going to main?
Yes.
Where have I heard this before? Where have I heard this before? I am.
That's pretty much how I'm going to do the whole February. You know what's happening with Elden Ring, right?
Yeah. But I'm living that Sifu life. I'm ordering clams for dinner so I can have seafood with my Sifu.
Oh my god, dude!
Sorry, that was a dad joke.
I need that drupch on my fucking Golex eye. But can we expect some like ridiculous fucking runs recorded and, you know, dropped on your fucking channel? Because I need that in my life, dude. I'm telling you right now.
So I'm gonna be so I am Roman Wins. You can find me streaming on YouTube Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That is my dedicated schedule. Tonight I will be streaming some Sifu, doing some high level play. I've made it through the first 2 chapters with perfect runs, no death. So we're gonna try and take the whole 5 chapters at age 20. How long it takes us to get there, we don't know, but we're gonna go for it. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I have preloaded Lost Ark. I am a founder. I'm going to dive into Lost Ark tomorrow. I want to do the main story. It's a gorgeous game, super beautiful. There is a great community of content creators. Some of them are friends of the show that are putting out great stuff for it. So yeah, I really want to support the game and check it out. And I thought Dying Light would carry me until Elden Ring, but it may have to be Lost Ark and Sifu that takes me until we can go into Elden Ring. But
sure.
Yeah, I'm super excited to play that with you. You know, maybe play a little bit if we can get some traction. Join up in your clan, the assembly over on the EU servers for Lost Ark. I'm super excited about that. But yeah, tonight's gonna be a seafood show. Seafood show.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my Wing Chun on. Everybody, Wang Chung tonight over at Roman Wins. Yeah, but I mean that's episode 3, baby. Take us home.
So yeah, I'll definitely be there tonight. I'll catch a little bit of it at least. I got a bit of editing and stuff to do, and there's nothing I like more than hearing people getting kung fu the fuck out while I cut up some videos. But of course, tomorrow is my usual streaming slot as well, which is anything fucking goes Tuesdays. And the only thing that's not gonna fucking go tomorrow is Dying Light 2. So I'll probably do a little bit of Dying Light 2 later in the evening, depending on how the rest of the day works out. But I definitely want to put a big chunk of the evening into Lost Ark. It is launching at 6 o'clock CET. My stream is at 8. So we'll jump in there with like a little bit of a leveled sorcerer. I'd love for you to come on board during that session and we do a little bit of co-op. We had so much fun with those dungeons, if you recall, when we were playing the beta, which was fucking fantastic. So I'd like more of that. By the way, which class are you going to play? Have you put any thought to that?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go big sword guy.
Oh, Berserker?
Yeah, I think so.
God damn. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
that'll make a. I mean, see again, we're just like there's synergy there without us even fucking trying. Because I got like a range class, you got the melee, you can be the tank. I can just pew 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 shoot shit. It's fantastic. But that's basically it. That's essentially the plan. Of course, I am deeply. I mean, you shunned my fucking baby. You did not mention Horizon before Elden Ring, but.
No.
I am deeply awaiting that game to launch next week as well. It's gonna be fucking sexy, and I have exactly 7 days to murder that before Elden Ring comes out. So
wow,
it's gonna be a toughie. It's gonna be a toughie, but I'm gonna do that. But like you said, that is it for episode 3. It's in the books. I gotta say from my side, guys, I hope it's apparent, but I'm having so much fun with these evenings, hanging out with my buddy, talking about the things that we love, and sharing our minds and our fucking craziness and just our time with you. And that is the one thing that I also want to thank you for, and that is that you spend your time with us. It means the world to me, and I'm sure it does to my partner. But that's basically it. We will be back next week, same time, same place, same fucking, situation, but a completely new roster of topics, and we can't wait to hang out with you guys. Keep an eye out during the week for little curated pieces of content from these sessions. If there's any parts of these shows that you've missed and you don't want to commit a whole hour and 40 minutes to rewatching the whole thing, we do bring small 6 to 12 whatever minutes snippets of what we think is the things that you might have missed and might enjoy. So keep an eye out for that. But more than that, guys, we are at 60 subs, and that's each and every one of you that are in chat right now, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do for me and this man. It does not go unnoticed. But with that and without any further ado, I want to say fucking cheers, and I will see you tomorrow night. Rome?
what he said.
Fantastic.
Listen, what he said. But every time we come together and talk about the things we like, we all realize that we've all been separated at birth. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we'll see you in the next one. But I'm going to go yell at this bald bastard and talk about some shit with him offline. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Fucking ta-ta.